He said when they get to.
Wow, not too many people tonight. It should be 1, 2, 3.
No, they don't do that. They don't have anything to remove, do they? That's what happens in Kentucky. State just notifies it, get off the road.
Stay at home.
Stay home.
Had a friend who lives in North Dakota.
Everybody ready? I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the village board meeting, Tuesday, November 26th. If we'd all stand, we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. Hey, Bob, how about you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Step up, Bob.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's try to get one of these meetings done in a reasonable period of time. How about
Good
that?
luck. Then we shouldn't have 2 pages on the agenda.
No report.
All right, lady.
2 pages on the agenda.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
President, and I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Just kidding, I'm sorry. just
Second.
kidding. No.
All in favor?
Trustee DeVivo?
Present.
Trustee Kajanis? Present. Trustee Sabo?
Present.
Trustee Suisse?
Present.
Trustee Yukich? Mayor Daley?
Present. Okay, this would be D. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I'd like to remove approval of the minutes for October 8th for further review.
Let's see. Let me take a look at them real quick. And what is the purpose of the removal of the minutes for October 8th?
For further review of some topics.
But for what? For further review, but for further review of what?
For further review of the discussion that pertained to Dottie's.
Okay, that's your prerogative. Is there a second to?
I second.
Trustee Sweet seconds. We'll have a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Well, Mr. Mayor, can I just ask one question? I apologize.
Yes, go ahead.
Is it for the substance or something missing? Because I read them. Is there something, I mean, October 8th is a little while ago and there was a large.
Well, that's what I was
discussion.
trying to get to also.
I just want to make sure that you want the clerk to go through the tape and make sure they're accurate?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay. I mean, if it's just for accuracy, because I apologize, but I can't remember 6 weeks ago if every word is just right. But if there's something there that you think was missing.
And that's what I was trying to get to, is what is the substance of asking for, have this amend the agenda? What are you, give us something that we need to look at as far as what you're referring to.
When I read the minutes,
Okay?
I felt that the secretary needed to review it again to make sure that everything was there that was important.
And what are you referring to? You're saying...
I don't know why you're questioning me on these. I just would like to amend the agenda so that these minutes can be reviewed in more
But I don't want to
detail.
amend the agenda unless I know what I'm looking for. I'm not going to look in a closet for something I can't find.
Well, I think it's...
What specifically do you not like about the recording?
It's not what I don't like, it's what that may be missing from that.
Well, what is it that you're referring to?
I would like her to review this so that we can find out if there is anything missing. And I think that when I make a motion and it's seconded, then we call for a vote, and I
Well,
don't think
there's
it's
discussion. When there's a
when
first and a second, there's discussion. And
And
I'm
there's-
asking you specifically,
I think I've been...
what is it in the minutes that you don't like that's recorded by the clerk?
I didn't say I didn't like it. I said...
Well, that you want
again,
reviewed.
I would like the clerk to review that section pertaining to Dottie's, again, to make sure that the meaning is there pertaining to the A or B license and the F. And there was a lot of discussion. I don't think there's enough content there. That's what I would like her to review.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was trying to get to.
Okay, I didn't know they had to
We
go
have a
into that
first
much
and
detail.
we have a second. We have a first and we have a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Pajanis?
No.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, so we will review if there's an amendment to the agenda, that will review the approval of the minutes of October 8, 2013. Okay, we'll move on then. Is there a motion to approve the accounts payable for the period of October 24th through November 27, 2013?
So moved.
First by trustee Costa,
Second.
second by trustee DeVivo. Any discussion?
I
Madam
had a
Clerk?
question.
Yes, go right ahead.
Pertaining to pages 5 and 9, it's the same subject. It has to do with bulbs, ballasts. It's near the top of the page. Just wanted to know where that was.
Excuse me, could you repeat that once again?
Okay, on page 5, Crescent Electric Supply Company, ballasts, bulbs. Also on page 9. Just wanted to know where that was. Worry.
Okay, I will have the finance director address that. Go ahead, John.
It was either Stonebridge or Erin Hills. It was the park. Some light fixtures for the park.
Okay.
And I'll make sure I get you the exact location.
The general idea is all I need.
Are you satisfied with the
Yes.
response?
Stonebridge.
Yes, I am. And then I also had a question on page 11. And it says Rags Electric, abbreviation for that company. Streetlight cable, Stonebridge.
Go ahead.
What that was is actually Nicor, during the construction of one of the homes in that area, Nicor actually cut one of the lighting cables in the subdivision. We've accepted those lights, so we had Rags repair those lights, and we are going to submit those costs to Nicor, since those cables were marked by the duly located.
Okay, thank you. Those were my questions.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. So we have a first and a second on the motion to approve accounts payable for the period of October 24th through November 27, 2013. Is there any more discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Pajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Most-
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next portion of this meeting is reports and communications from the mayor and other officers. I'll start out. This is under the village's annual tree lighting ceremony. On Monday, December 2nd, the village will host our annual tree lighting ceremony at the Homer Junior High. Join us as we celebrate the season. The Homer Junior High show choir will sing holiday songs, and Santa will be stopping by. Make sure to dress in your warmest clothes and join us as we kick off the holiday season. Under the Homer Township Library, on Sunday, November 24th, I attended the Homer Township Library dedication ceremony. Several residents came out for the event. The president, library board, and executive director extended a warm welcome to everybody visiting Homer Glen's newly expanded library. This is a beautiful remodeling building for the whole community to enjoy. I encourage everybody to stop by and see the new improvements. It's really something to see. I had to question where libraries are going in the future, and I talked with Sherry Lyle Kozel, but this was really a nice build-up. Under economic development update, more great news in Homer Glen. Kirkland's Hallmark opened their doors to the public this past Saturday. We welcome Kirkland's to our community and look forward to celebrating with them at the upcoming ribbon-cutting ceremony. Kirkland's is one of the largest Hallmark retailers in the country, and we're excited about having the companies invest in the future of Homer Glen. In addition, staff is also planning ribbon-cutting ceremonies for several other new Homer Glen businesses. Announcements will come soon. Kirkland's, if I have it correct, has 100 different hallmarks in 10 different states. This, they took on, if I'm correct, in talking with the village manager, this is the largest Kirkland's that they have in their 100 stores, and it happens to be in Homer Glen. So once again, a feather in the hat to Homer Glen. Under stormwater improvement project updates, bid opening results. On Tuesday of last week, the village opened bids for the first 3 of 7 Homer Glen Works stormwater improvement projects that will be completed in 2014. These are part of the stormwater improvement project, which was approved by the village board in July of this year. The village received 6 bids, which range from approximately $118,000 to $245,000, with the apparent low bidder being Copenhagen Construction. Staff will be reviewing the bid documents and expects to bring the qualified low proposal to the board at the December 10th village board meeting. Questions can be directed to either the village manager or to Director Salamovich. The Village of Homer Glen is committed to continuing our community stormwater improvement programs. The pending approval of these upcoming programs is another example of this commitment. Under recreational vehicle storage ordinance enforcement. Recently, the Public Safety Committee recommended the Village Building Department to begin enforcing the village's recreational vehicle storage ordinance, meaning boats, campers, trailers, snowmobiles, etc. Many of the aspects of this ordinance have not been actively enforced since before my term as mayor. Therefore, I've instructed the building department to hold off on their recreational vehicle enforcement activities until staff can provide the village with a complete list of addresses in the community where potential recreational vehicle storage violations exist. Staff is working on this comprehensive list, and we expect that the list will exceed 300 homes. When the list is completed by the building department, we will distribute the list to the village board. Then the entire village board can give the village staff instructions on how we want to proceed with the issues of recreational vehicle storage. My own opinion is education is always the way to address any subject. I have no intention of going out and giving 300 homeowners violations and ticketing and what have you. I believe in conjunction with the Public Safety Committee, they would agree with me that they don't want to see the homeowners, having to pay violations. We need to educate them as to the ordinances for the village so that property values are maintained and that they understand that they'll have a period of time to comply with the ordinances, and we'll contact every one of them, but we don't have a total list at this point. So we're going to hold off until we have a list, and then I will seek the board's approval as to how they'd like to proceed enforcing the ordinance. And finally, underneath the village bonding financing update. As the board and public will remember, back in late 2012, the village obtained an outstanding bond rating. At the time, you gonna make it there?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. At the time, interest rates were at an all-time low, and the village trustees and I wanted to take advantage of the fact that by raising some revenue through bonding to use for the completion of important public projects and improvements. Recently, we inquired with the firm that the village worked with us on the bond rating and the bond sale, and asked them to give us an update on just how important it was for the village trustees and I have to take action when we did and sell the bonds back in late 2012. I'll read from what the firm reported back. Rates continue to fall slightly from where they were in September 2012. until they reached the bottom in November 2012. Since then, rates have been steadily climbing. In fact, if we price bonds for the Village of Homer Glen, which was a big question at the time, whether or not we should go to bonding or not go to bonding, in September of 2013, exactly 1 year after the actual pricing, we estimate that the same $17 million in project funds would cost the village an additional $1.339897 in additional total debt service of the life of the issue due to higher interest costs. Further, in order to achieve the village's goal of a maximum of $2 million per year in total debt service, we would have had to extend the maturity of the bonds by 1 year. We estimate that the bond yield today would be 3.09, whereas the village was able to lock rates in at a bond yield of 1.96 last September, a savings of 113 basis points over a full percentage point. I mean, I got to give a lot of credit to a lot of people that believed in moving at that time with those rates, because we hit almost the exact bottom. The village's foresight moving forward with selling bonds in 2012 was outstanding. I want to thank the village board and the village staff for their outstanding partnership, working together for the betterment of the community. In particular, the village board's commitment and professional experience helped the village to take advantage of a once-in-a-lifetime low interest rate opportunity that occurred in 2012. As you look across the board, you know, we differ in our opinions, and certain people sit on this aisle, certain people sit on that aisle, but the experiences that all these individuals have, I mean, it's incredible. You look at Trustee DeVivo, for instance. She was with the railroad company for years and years and years, and you know, did professional services for them. You look at Ted K. Janis, that the family owned multiple McDonald's businesses. He was with corporate McDonald's. You look at Margaret Sable, who was a school teacher and has very large environmental experiences and corporate background behind her. You look at George Yukich, that owns multiple businesses. You look at Mike Costa, that does estimates millions and millions of dollars of jobs. I mean, these guys have done an excellent job in securing the future finances of the Village of Homer Glen. So I want to thank them all and just say that it goes even beyond them. It goes down to the Plan Commission. Kevin Hoffmeister has been at the Mercantile Exchange for over 30 years. He's the head of our Plan Commission. He thoroughly understands bonds and finance. You look at Tom Bernicki, a bond trader himself that represents big firms and what have you. Jay Bradrich, who is a developer that has more experience than probably everybody in this room at building, architectural, engineering. Lynn McGarry, retired from banking and a longtime Chamber of Commerce member. Cindy Polk, a CPA. Don Mitchell, an engineer. Joe Masca, engineer. I mean, these people are really have your back when we look at all these projects and financing that we're looking to do in the future. So I want to thank the board and all these good village volunteers that I just mentioned, and that concludes the mayor's report. So we'll start with the trustee reports, down with Trustee Costa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, the events committee, of course, meets every month. We're moving forward for our event in June next year for our community festival. After the first of the year, we'll have a better idea of some of our entertainment and the activities for that, for the event. On the safety side, we saw yesterday what probably a half an inch of snow can do to a community, actually to the whole south side of Chicago. So just remind everybody that the weather's upon us. With the time change, we're going to work in the dark, coming home in the dark. Kids are out there. Please be careful driving, especially when there's a little bit of snow on the street. Take a little bit extra time. slow down, especially in the subdivisions, watch for school buses, and watch for our little residents that may be running across the street getting from their friend's house back home. So please be careful. With that, just like to wish everybody a safe and happy Thanksgiving, and try not to eat too much. That's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Costa. Trustee Sabo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to report for the Environment Committee. First topic is the tree inventory and the EAB grant. The next meeting of the Environment Committee will take place on December 9. At that meeting, the Environment Committee will be reviewing the draft of the Urban Forestry Management Plan, which has been completed by Mark Dunneman of Natural Path Urban Forestry Consultants. The report will list the number of trees, analysis regarding removal and maintenance on Homer Glen public property. Mr. Dunneman will be making a presentation to the Village Board on January 28th, and the Homer Glen Tree Ordinance of 2006 will be discussed. As part of the grant, staff will be trained in managing the data for the GIS. Another topic is the Conservation Foundation, which is located in Naperville and also works in Will County and other counties. The Conservation Foundation will be holding a one-hour meetings on December 3 and 18 and January 7 and 15 to share the Foundation's mission through stories and testimonials. They are a not-for-profit organization that has accomplished great things for municipalities, communities, and residents have benefited. The Village of Homer Glen will be attending one of the sessions. The public is invited to attend, and we have more information if anyone is interested in attending. And I would say happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and enjoy your family. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Sabo. Trustee Kay Janis?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'd like to just state that this past Friday, we gathered up items for donation. Residents of Homer Glen and Orland Park at Patty B's. We came together to give a relief effort to the tornado victims in Coal City. We drove down there with a U-Haul full and a couple trucks full of items, from clothes to food items, canned food items, water, as well as pet supplies. I'd like to thank Mayor Daley for joining me there, and also Trustee Swees for bringing donations, I believe, for pet supplies as well. It was just a great effort driving down there and helping out our fellow citizens of Illinois. It was just a great gathering of people. Moving on with that, I'd like to also state that this Saturday, on the 30th, the Small Business Administration is recognizing local businesses on Small Business Saturday. Go out and shop Homer Glen, dine in Homer Glen. These small businesses in our village help support all our functions, whether it be Little League, football, soccer teams, or just church activities, or through their donations. So please go out and support our local businesses on this Saturday and all the time, year-round. Also, I'd like to congratulate some of our other businesses for anniversaries. Davidson's is having their 10-year anniversary this month. Home Depot enjoyed doing the ribbon cutting there this past week for their 10-year anniversary. Pelican Harry's, 5 years. And also, I believe, coming up shortly, Mr. Beef will be having a celebration, I believe, for 50 years. A 50-year anniversary. Fantastic. They do excellent jobs for our community. Good products, good service, good people. And, I'm sorry, say that again, Bob?
We'll go 35 years.
And we'll go camping. 35 years. Outstanding, Bob. Outstanding. On our past economic development meeting that we had, we discussed our brainstorming session on just logo branding update for recruitment, marketing, and information through websites. So we did a brainstorming session. It was very productive. All members had great ideas that they brought forward. We're compiling all the information at this point in time, and it was just a great session. So, Mr. Mayor, that's it for my report.
Okay, thank you. Before I forget, I'd like to thank everybody that participated in the Mike Hike I was out of town. I had to take my son to school in Montana. I heard it went well. It was well participated, and it's definitely a worthy cause. Trustee Swees?
No report, Mr. Mayor, but I would like to wish everybody a happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Trustee DeVivo?
No report, Mayor, and I also would like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Okay. That concludes trustee reports. When I refer to the treasurer, I'd like him to pretty much tell you about how important the financing was that I went into, but that's the mayor speaking, but this is a financial director. I'd like to have him say a couple words about the timing of the bonding of this village. This was historical. Go ahead, John.
Yes, Mayor, it was. I'd like to congratulate the young community for being able to take advantage of that opportunity. That was, as you said, record low, 40 to 50-year low. The fact that the rates went from 2 to 3%, that's a 50% increase, several $million. Just, it's one of those not many opportunities come along like that, so I was just really thrilled that the village was in a position to take advantage of that, and the board all acted on it, so I'm just thrilled that we were able to do that. That those opportunities don't come along too often. So, but I do have the treasurer's report for October 31st.
Go right ahead.
It's the 6-month report for fiscal 14. It shows the general fund with cash and investment balances of $6,136,441. The motor fuel tax fund had a cash and investment balance of $1,828,783. The park fund had a cash and investment balance of $860,230. The debt service fund had a balance of $502,662. And the final fund, the capital project funds, had cash and investment balances of $25,489,517. And that concludes my report.
Thanks, John. Does anybody have any comments, questions for John? Okay. Does the clerk have a report?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
How about the village attorney?
No report.
How about any task force chairpersons out there? Okay. How about public safety officials? And the village manager?
Thank you, Mayor and Board. I have just a couple quick items. The Village Messenger newsletter, this is the front page of it. The latest edition is in the mail, so I'll be looking for that in your mailbox. And I just want to thank all the staff members. Putting together a newsletter is a lot more challenging than you might imagine, an 8-page newsletter. And I want to really appreciate Elena Bose for the work that she did in coordinating, and then all the staff members who wrote articles for it. So there's a lot of good information in there, and be looking for that in your mailbox. Also, I want to congratulate Lauren Finkler from the Homer Horizon for being promoted to editor. She's been covering the village for a while now, and we have a replacement here tonight. And if you can all meet Creighton, who is a Lions fan, so, you could beat up on him for a while and take the pressure off me. But we welcome him here tonight, and really congratulate Lauren for her continued success. Also, I want to mention to you tonight, Erin is not here tonight because she's on vacation, but Erin got the good news here last week that she passed a very, very challenging certification test, and she will, you'll start seeing initials after her name because she's earned the right to be a certified planner, which at her age is really kind of remarkable, actually. So I'm real pleased about that, and of course, like all the staff members here, I feel very fortunate to be working with them. And so at the next village board meeting, we're going to try to surprise her a little bit, unless she watches the tapes of the board meeting, then she'll know I called it out. But we're just real happy for her and thankful that she got through that process. Also, just from a personal standpoint, I want to wish everybody Thanksgiving. For my family, this is we feel very fortunate because my nephew, as some of the staff members and board members know, lives in Washington, and just a couple houses away from him, the houses don't exist anymore. So we were down there this past weekend, my family and I, which is one of the reasons I couldn't be at the library picking up glass and pulling stakes out of his garage wall, and it's just really quite a mess down there. One of the things that was really kind of heartwarming were the number of license plates that you saw at the church, where people were being partnered up to help families from, Kentucky and Nebraska and just all over the United States. It was really amazing to see all that. So we feel very fortunate that Kevin and his wife and my young great nephew are all okay, and everybody else down there. So with that, happy Thanksgiving, and that's it.
Thank you, Cam. So everybody knows Northern's winning 20-7 right now. I've had two-step kids go to Northern. My daughter goes there right now, and Cam's a graduate. So I thought I'd give you that report before the meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one person that'd like to speak in public comment tonight. That concludes the village reports. Derek McGuinn?
I apologize. I signed that because I'm going to be speaking on one of the petitions.
Okay, well, this is your opportunity in public comment. If you would like to say something before we vote on it, you should come in public comment and step up, because we don't reopen public comment. Okay?
My name is Derek McGrew, 10701 Firelight Court, Noblesville, Indiana. I'm here on behalf of AT&T Wireless. We are proposing to add antennas to an existing cell tower. You could probably see it from here if you were outside, just southeast of where we're at. And the reason we're in front of you is because we are proposing an equipment cabinet within the compound that is too close to the property line. The Plan Commission recommended approval of this petition, and there are no other towers in the area to use, so the only solution to providing coverage in that area is to do exactly what we're doing, which is add antennas to the tower and put equipment cabinets at the base and within the compound. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes public comment. The next portion of this meeting would be the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes the following items of business? Consider for approval the position description for the deputy clerk / office manager, and consider for approval resolution number 13-016, a resolution approving the release of a letter of credit from the Illinois American Water Company for the Oak Valley Water Reclamation Facility expansion, and consider for approval 2014 meeting schedule calendar for the Village Board, Plan Commission, and the village committees, and consider for approval a change in address for a final plat unit development for the property commonly known as 12100 West 159th Street, Homer Glen, Illinois, to 12070 West 159th Street, Homer Glen. That's the Richards Building Supply Company.
So moved.
First by trustee Costa,
I second.
second by trustee Suisse. Is there any questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Janis.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Trustee Suisse.
Aye.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo.
Aye.
Motion carries. The next items on the agenda are legislation and action items. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 13-062, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of a special use to permit a planned unit development and a special use to permit the co-location and operation of a wireless communications facility on an existing cell tower in a C3 General Business Zoning District at 12608 West 159th Street, Homer Glen, Illinois, AT&T Wireless, conditioned upon the following: payment of a fee in lieu of detention per the village's water resource management ordinance prior to the issuance of a building permit.
So moved.
First by, who is that? Trustee DeVivo?
Second.
Second by trustee Costa. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Trustee Suisse.
Aye.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo.
Aye.
Trustee Janis.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. This would be I2. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number -063, an ordinance authorizing the village's acceptance of only the street lighting in the Cypress Point subdivision?
So moved.
First by trustee Costa,
Second.
second by trustee Kay Janis. Is there any discussion?
One discussion.
Go ahead.
On page 2, it says an inspection was performed by Regs Electric, which except for one minor item found the lighting to be in good working order. I just wanted to know what that one exception was.
I will refer to Mike Salmovich for that.
It was just a minor cover for one of the handles on one of the light fixtures. So it's a relatively simple thing to fix.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, trustee Sabo. Thank you, Mike. Any further questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Hi.
Motion carries. This would be I3. Is there a motion to approve 2014 IMLRMA contribution invoice renewal for workers' compensation and liability insurance coverage in the amount of $34,148.96?
So moved.
First by trustee Costa,
Second.
second by trustee Sabo. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Just, you're saying I, it's supposed to be actually J,
J's.
but I don't think that makes a difference. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. But, yes.
Okay,
Okay?
All right.
I don't think that makes any difference, but maybe for the minutes.
okay.
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Okay, you know what? You're right. Sorry about that one. Motion carries. This would be J, let's see here, 4. You caught me on that one. Is there a motion to grant an extension of the existing variance for 13635 South Aaron Drive, Homer Glen, Illinois? SETA is the property. It's understood that the first extension is for an additional 80-day period beginning on November 28th, 2013, and continuing through and including May 27th, 2014.
So moved.
First by trustee Costa.
Second.
Second by trustee, that was Kajanis.
Yes.
Is there any discussion?
Mayor, I just wanted to make one note. On the background information, there's a small correction. The date, actually, after background information should read on November 27th, 2012. So obviously, if they had just gotten approved in 2013, they wouldn't be before us for an extension. So I think that she just had 2013 on the brain, so to speak, from the motion and just brought that down. So there's the correction. Thank you.
Okay, let the minutes reflect that correction in the motion.
That's not a correction in the motion, that's just in the body of the backup.
Okay, in the body of backup. All right. Is there any further discussion?
I have a question
Trustee
pertaining
Sabo?
to page 2, second paragraph. It says the petitioner has indicated he does not intend to move forward with the project in the future, but which part of the project? The whole paragraph reads, the petitioner has spent the last year conducting a searching for a general contractor and also weighing the option of serving as his own general contractor. Petitioner has indicated he does not intend to move forward with the project in the future.
He does intend.
He does intend.
Yeah, he
Oh.
does intend, he just hasn't been able to find a contractor.
I'm sorry,
That's okay.
read that wrong. Thanks.
Okay. Is there any further discussion?
I just have one question.
Trustee Suisse?
Is this the final? He gets 6 more, 180 days? Does this keep reoccurring? Or is he aware that this is?
I'll let the village
Yeah.
manager handle that.
Happy to answer. You've actually, you would consider it again if you needed an additional extension. You have done a couple of these extensions for other residents, multiple extensions, but I think you take them on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
And sometimes you don't have to because they've begun the project.
Okay. Does that answer your
Yes,
question?
thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J5. Is there a motion to approve the attached proclamation in support of National Drunk and Drug Driving Prevention Month, December 2013?
So moved.
First by
Second.
trustee Costa, second by trustee Sabo. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Kijana.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Trustee Suisse.
Aye.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo.
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J6. Is there a motion to approve an increase in each full-time staff member's life insurance to a flat $50,000? It is understood that this increase for all full-time staff members combined would cost the village $462 per year, and we would be paid from line item number 10.11.55.130.
So moved.
First by trustee Costa,
I second.
second by trustee Sweet. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Trustee Suisse.
Aye.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo.
Aye.
Trustee Kijana.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. This would be, let's see here, J7. Is there a motion to approve the attached lease agreement between the Village of Homer Glen and Founders South Properties LLC for the Village Hall, 14933 South Founders Crossing, Homer Glen, Illinois, and to direct the mayor to sign said agreement upon renewal and approval by the village attorney. It is understood that the term of the lease is for 5 years commencing on September 1st, 2013, with the option for early termination. The rent for the village hall will be paid from budget line item 10.11.60.240.
So moved.
First by trustee Costa,
Second.
second by trustee DeVivo. Is there any discussion?
I did have a question.
Go right ahead.
Second page. Right under the chart, it says the lease agreement also stipulates the landlord will be responsible for maintaining the roof, structural members of the building, the parking lot, sidewalks, and landscaping, and will remove snow accumulations from the parking lot and sidewalk. The village will be responsible for maintaining all other aspects of the building, so just want to, it's covered in more detail in the ordinance itself, but simplifying it, what would we be responsible for?
Sure. I'll let the village manager handle it.
Thank you, Mayor. That language actually hasn't changed from the two previous rental agreements that we've had. So an example would be a light ballast goes out. I mean, there's 1,000 examples I suppose I could bring up, but a light ballast goes out, we're responsible for replacing that. Okay, there's any number of things that have gone wrong, small things over the course of the past couple of years, and we use either our own staff or we bring someone in and get it fixed. Nothing to date has amounted to anything significant in terms of cost.
Okay, does that answer your question?
It's more about the interior than it is anything else.
Right, correct.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you, trustee Sabo. Is there any other discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Suisse.
Aye.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo.
Aye.
Trustee Kijana.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Motion carries. That concludes legislation and action items for tonight. The next portion of this meeting is a workshop item. Village Manager Davis and Development Service Director Mike Salmowicz will address the board on this issue. Cam, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mayor. Just real briefly, after we discussed the lighting on 159th Street at the last meeting, well, actually, we talked about the lighting. We also talked about the landscaping. In both instances, letters were sent to IDOT. Obviously, we transmitted the board's decisions regarding landscaping, and they are working on that at the IDOT level now, and hopefully we'll be meeting with them soon to get that all squared away. On the lighting side, the board's direction and the mayor agreed to send a letter to IDOT asking a number of questions that had come up at the last village board meeting, so the mayor did that right away. And today, actually, we got a response from IDOT, so we appreciate their timeliness given the holiday of getting back with us. Mike's going to give you a presentation that deals with two things. One that shows you IDOT's response that we got today, and also shows you some pictures from various places that Michael has researched in the area that kind of give you a better visual feel for the lighting that we're talking about. So, Mike, you want to go ahead? I have some stuff he wants me to hand out to you, so I'll do that now while he's talking.
Thank you. At the last board meeting, obviously, there were questions raised about the street lighting along Route 30 in Frankfurt, Mokina, and New Lenox as part of the Route 30 reconstruction project. In response to these questions, the mayor had sent a letter to IDOT on November 14th. A copy of the IDOT response is being handed out right now, and we just, as the village manager mentioned, we just received this letter late this afternoon. For the benefit of those others present tonight, we've put together a brief, well, maybe not necessarily brief, but a presentation, PowerPoint presentation that goes over each of the questions that were asked and provides the IDOT response, and then we've got some photos as far as staff had done some research with regards to some of those questions raised as well too. So with regards to the IDOT questions, the first question that was asked by the village, by the mayor, as the village is a dark sky community with a separate village lighting ordinance, would it be possible for the lighting to be constructed in such a way as to incorporate features of the village's outdoor lighting ordinance? This would include full cutoff fixtures, lighting levels, etc. IDOT's response was the department's District 1 lighting guidelines require the use of full cutoff luminaires on lighting installed on state highways. The lighting guidelines refer to published nationally recognized standards for lighting levels, glare, and uniformity. The proposed system must comply with these standards. The light levels proposed for this project are in accordance to policy. Should the light levels desired by the village be less than this, the variance will not be allowed. The department respects the village's ordinances. However, levels used have been determined to be those required to provide safe transportation for all motorists in all types of weather. Installation of lighting provides safety along the road, but also introduces a hazard. Light poles or any appurtenances required for lighting are potential roadway hazards. It is the department's responsibility to evaluate items within the right-of-way to ensure the balance of need and safety are met. The next question that was asked of IDOT, what type of luminaires, high-pressure sodium, mercury vapor, etc., will be used for potential lighting, and what color of light will be produced with reference to degree Kelvin? The department's specifications call for high-pressure sodium luminaires with a clear type lamp and have a color within the range of 1900 to 2200 degrees Kelvin. The lighting guidelines do not preclude the use of sources with other color temperatures. This element of the design is open for review and discussion should lighting be installed as part of this project. For example, should the village desire to have lighting installed and suggest other alternatives such as LED luminaires, the department would consider allowing the LEDs. The only criteria which needs to be met is that the installed lights must achieve the light levels specified within the department's District 1 lighting guidelines. The next question, the village is aware that Orland Park has control of 3 legs of the Wilcook Road intersection and will not be lighting their 3 legs. As only the west leg of the Wilcook Road intersection is within the boundaries of Homer Glen, is it possible to only light the west leg of the intersection? IDOT's response, as noted, the intersection of 159th Street at Wilcook Road is under the jurisdictional responsibility of multiple agencies, including the Village of Homer Glen, Homer Township, the Village of Orland Park, Orland Township, Will County, and Cook County. The Village of Homer Glen's jurisdictional boundaries include the west leg of 159th Street. The Village of Orland Park and Orland Township's jurisdictional boundaries include the east leg of 159th Street. Orland Park also has jurisdiction of the south leg of Wilcook Road. Jurisdictional boundary for the north leg of Wilcook Road is split between Will and Cook counties. Lighting on the approach to an intersection can be included, but once the light levels are carried into the intersection, the entire intersection and all approaches must include lighting. There are no intersections in the district which are only partially lit. According to the department's District 1 lighting guidelines, the west leg at the intersection of 159th Street and Wilcook Road could include lights, provided that the last light pole is a minimum of 750 feet from the center line of the approaching cross street. Further design calculations may be required lighting to terminate farther from the intersection based on project-specific geometrics. The other agencies with jurisdictional responsibility for the remaining three legs are not interested. The other agencies with jurisdictional responsibility for the remaining three legs are not interested in participating with the cost of lighting. Should the village desire the entire intersection to be lit, they would need to provide all the necessary funding. If the village desires to light the roadway approaching its leg but not the intersection, this can be included in the plans. The next question, the village is potentially interested in lighting the intersections at Parker Road, South Bell Road, and South Bell Road north of 159th Street and South Bell Road south of 159th Street. Is it possible for the village of Homer Glen to only light the east-west legs of each of these intersections along 159th Street and not the north-south legs? IDOT's response, should an intersection be lit, by policy, all legs of the intersection must include lights. The intersections of 159th Street at Parker Road, South Bell Road north of 159th Street, and South Bell Road south of 159th Street currently have posted speed limits of between 35 miles per hour to 45 miles per hour. According to the department's District 1 lighting guidelines, the transition lighting is determined based on the posted speed limit. Therefore, the minimum distances required for transition lighting on each north-south leg varies from 175 to 250 feet from the intersection. Further design calculations may require the lighting to be extended farther along the north-south legs based on project-specific geometrics. Fifth question that was asked, if it is not possible to only light the east-west legs of the intersection, is it possible to reduce the lighting levels along the north-south legs of each of these intersections? IDOT's response, lighting intensities at intersections must remain constant for each leg of the intersection. According to the approved American National Standard ANSI RP-8-00 roadway lighting guide, lighting intensities are based on roadway classification, pedestrian traffic, pavement classification, etc. Information gathered about 159th Street would be used in determining the lighting intensities for all legs of the intersection. And the final question, it was brought up at a recent village board meeting that there were instances along US Route 30 in Mokina and New Lenox at intersections where traffic signals exist, that either some legs of signalized intersections were not lighted, or that the level of lighting along some legs of signalized intersections have been reduced. Has IDOT struck deals with other communities that allows those towns not to light all legs at a four-legged signalized intersection? In addition, has IDOT struck deals with any communities allowing for lighting levels to be reduced on side streets that adjoin the main highway? IDOT's response, the department does not mandate light levels for village streets that are not state routes, except where those streets intersect state routes at signalized intersections. Should lighting be included in a project and that the light does not extend into an intersection, the light levels of the leg that has local jurisdiction may be determined by the local ordinances. A deal does not exist between the department and any municipalities which reduce light levels for any intersection within the state route. There are instances where existing beacon lights are mounted on existing Commonwealth Edison electric poles or traffic signal mast arms at intersections. When a roadway improvement extends through the intersection, these beacon lights typically will be removed or relocated so that the lighting policies are met. Should lighting be included, either within a project or installed under a permit, lighting is required on all legs of an intersection with a state route, including transition lighting. Other agencies, example, county highways, do not use the same lighting criteria as the state, particularly in regard to transition lighting. Again, after the last meeting, staff did have an opportunity to drive the length of the project, the Route 30 project, and speak with representatives from New Lenox, Mokina, and Frankfurt. Staff also spoke with Carrie Pintar, who was a resident engineer with V3 Engineering who oversaw the Route 30 construction project on behalf of IDOT. Of the 3 communities located along the Route 30 project, only one of these communities, which was Mokina, actually included any lighting as part of the Route 30 project. The Wolf Road intersection in Mokina was already improved with lighting prior to the start of the Route 30 project. However, Mokina decided to also include streetlights at the Owens Road intersection, which is just west of Wolf Road. The Owens Road intersection does have transitional lighting on all 4 legs. However, it might not appear that way at the moment, as some of the poles have not been installed yet, though the foundations are there. This was also confirmed in my conversation with the representative from Mokina. LaGrange Road intersection also includes street lighting, which was prior to the Route 30 project. The lighting present along Route 30, primarily between Harlem Avenue and LaGrange Road, with the exception of the noted intersections, consists of a combination of municipal street lighting in adjacent subdivisions and/or on some of the local cross streets, which each of the villages were responsible for relocating. ComEd installed lights, or as IDOT referred to them, beacon lights, which are typically located on wood power poles, was another type of light that we had found out there. These lights existed prior to the start of the project and were relocated by ComEd prior to the start of the project as well. So those were not included in the project itself. And then again, the other lights, there was actually an instance where there was some lighting that was in a subdivision. It was actually homeowner association lighting, and the association was responsible for relocating those lights as well. Staff also spoke to a representative of Orland Park regarding the upcoming 159th Street project. Currently, Orland Park plans to include lighting at the Wolf Road intersection and carry that lighting west along 159th Street up to their sports complex. If the board decides to provide lighting at the intersections in Homer Glen, one thing that the village can request is the use of combination poles. Basically, these are poles which would have both the traffic signals and street lights on the same pole. However, the use of combination poles would not eliminate the need for approach or transition lighting on any of the legs of the intersections. And again, we've provided, these are some of the examples that just driving either on 159th Street or Route 30 of what we found. This is an example of the transitional or approach lighting coming up to the Ravinia Avenue intersection near Costco. This is again, this is actually on the west, the south leg, excuse me, of the intersection of that same intersection. The next light, or the next slide is, this is 159th and Gauger Road. This is actually looking, this is on Gauger Road looking south through the 159th Street intersection. On the Route 30 project, as I mentioned, there's kind of a combination of various lights, but there was only one intersection that actually had lighting that was part of the actual Route 30 project. The intersection on this photo is actually the Harlem Avenue intersection. This one has actually unique lighting because it's high-masted lighting. So this is basically a totally different lighting. This is more of what you would actually find on a highway rather than local roads. So this one's kind of a unique intersection. I'm sure this is not something that we would be expecting in Homer Glen. Here is an example along Route 30. This was basically in that section of between Harlem Avenue and LaGrange Road where a majority of this type of lighting was. This is an example of subdivision lighting that it's actually existing lighting that was part of the subdivision itself. So even though some of the lighting actually may spill over onto Route 30, it's actually not part of the project. It's actually not considered Route 30 lighting as well. This light would have been, again, this is a light that would have been, the local community would have been required to relocate at their cost. If it was in the existing right-of-way, and then if IDOT took any additional right-of-way, what they will do is they will be kicking it back, which in this case is what happened. This is just the next several slides are just various examples in that same section of additional lighting. It's on either side streets or within the subdivisions. And again, it's not part of actually Route 30, but it's just local street lighting. this would be an example of what IDOT referred to as beacon lighting. Basically, if you notice, it's a ComEd pole with a light fixture on it. And again, prior to the start of this project, ComEd moved their poles and moved this lighting, so this was not anything that IDOT designed or installed on the project. Just another example of beacon lighting. This is the LaGrange Road intersection at Route 30. Definitely a larger, busier intersection, and this one has approach lights or transition lights on all 4 legs. This one, it's a little bit hard to see, but towards the right side of the photo is actually, this is one of the examples. It's I believe it's the Butternut subdivision on Route 30. It's actually, this is one of the examples of homeowner association owned lights. These were again relocated by the association at their cost. This is the intersection at Wolf Road. This intersection again has full transitional lighting on all 4 legs. So this is looking west on Route 30 towards the intersection. This is just another photo. It's kind of looking northwest, just to give an idea of some of the transitional lighting on Wolf Road itself at that same intersection. And then we're just a little bit past the intersection and basically approaching the Owens intersection. It's a little bit hard to see on this one, but you can kind of see some of the combination poles. This intersection was one of the intersections, is probably one of the intersections that used the combination poles. As you can see at the 4 corners of the intersection, they have the traffic signals, but also at the top of those traffic signal poles are the street lights. But again, there's also transitional lighting being there is some existing and there's some being proposed. There's foundations out there, but they haven't been installed as of yet. This is just another example on the Route 30 project of a side street light, just a municipal-owned street light. Just as with Route 30, Homer Glen, we have several locations where we're going to have the same situations where we have existing streetlights on side streets that will be relocated as part of the project. This is at Twin Lakes Drive. We have an existing streetlight. IDOT is proposing to kick this back. The village will be responsible for those costs, but the light will remain, but it will be moved outside of the IDOT right-of-way. And the next several are just several examples. This is at Crystal Creek Estates subdivision, just down the street from there. And I think that was pretty much it as far as, we've got several others, and I think the village manager, you handed the photos out. We were having some technical difficulties, so we couldn't load all the photos in, but basically what we did was provided the board with copies of the various photos of the shots that I already showed in the presentation, and then there's a bunch of additional shots throughout Homer Glen where we have various, either the beacon type lighting, or we have subdivision lighting that will be relocated just outside of the right of way, but it will still be in place as part of, ultimately as part of, once the project is completed, so.
Okay, how come, from LaGrange?
Hold on here
sorry.
a second, please.
I'm sorry.
It has to be acknowledged by the chair. First of all, before I move to Trustee Swees, when do we have to have the answer to IDOT? Because this road is not going away. It's going to happen, and we have to have answers for them by certain dates. What is the date?
Well, IDOT asked that we get a response to them as quickly as possible because they're in the final stages. They also remind, and probably my opportunity just to remind everybody that, they're seeking guidance now. They bid the project out, the numbers come back in terms of costs. There's another opportunity down the road to say no if you so choose, which I've mentioned before to the board, but I like to just mention it again. But they would like a response as quickly as possible. The challenge that we have is, we have this meeting, and then we have one more meeting, and then you don't have a meeting for almost a month, going into January. So I think the sooner we get a response to them, the better. So I was hoping that we could put something on the next village board meeting for action, one way or the other, get an answer back to them.
Thank you. As far as I'm concerned, you know, we've talked about a number of improvements on 159th Street that from medians to sidewalks, walkways, lighting, and what have you. We've pretty much worked everything out up to the lighting. You hear IDOT's stance on their lighting. There's been a tremendous amount of misinformation about other communities and what they do and what they don't do. What Mike just showed you are the facts. Those are the facts, okay? So we need to make some decisions, and we need to make them fairly quickly so that we can move on with this project with IDOT. Now, with that being said, I believe Trustee Swees had a question either for Mike or for the board. Go ahead, Trustee Swees.
Thank you. No, I said, you said you were going on Route 30 from Harlem to LaGrange, and then how about further towards Cedar?
Yeah, actually, I went, some of the photos, that was where we found the majority of the ComEd type or the beacon light poles. We're in that section between basically LaGrange Road and Harlem. I drove the entire project basically from Harlem all the way to I-80. Like I said, between Harlem and LaGrange was where we had the most of the beacon lights. From that point on, the only intersection that New Lenox or that Frankfurt had lit was they had LaGrange Road lit up. After that point, then it went to to Mokina. Mokina had the Wolf Road intersection lighted, and then that was an existing intersection that they already had existing lighting on that project. And then they chose as part of the Route 30 project to light the Owens Road intersection, which is directly west of that. So basically, the transition lights from Wolf Road actually merged right into the transition lighting for the Owens intersection.
Because
and then traveling west, basically the next intersection that you come to that actually has any streetlights is when you get to the Walmart development in New Lenox. And that was actually installed by Walmart itself, but that's actually outside of the limits of the Route 30 project. There are several instances of municipal-owned streetlights on the side streets or beacon-type lights, but again, none of that. Mokina was the only one that actually included any street lighting as part of the Route 30 project. New Lenox and Frankfurt opted not to put any additional lighting in.
I know, okay, because in Frankfurt, like Euclid, there's certain intersections there, they have no lights. It's only signals, residential, commercial, and then in certain areas, unless they didn't put up their 3 poles yet, there's 1 or 2 only transitional lighting. They're not 3.
It all depends, the
And
transitional
so there's
lighting.
all different, maybe there's 3 here, 1 here.
Yeah, now, if you notice that, and the one thing, like I said, between that section between Harlem and LaGrange, really there's no lighted intersections except for LaGrange and Harlem. The lighting that you see in the middle, in between those 2 intersections, is either the beacon lighting or the municipal-owned lighting on the side streets. So none of that is actually, state on the state route itself. They're off the right of way. So now there may be some instances, like I said, where the ComEd type lights, there may be a couple at an intersection, but again, those were not installed or designed by IDOT, and those were actually existing lights according to Frankfurt and according to Carrie, who I had mentioned was one of the resident engineers on the project for IDOT, that basically they were existing lights that were relocated by ComEd prior to the start of the Route 30 project.
One of the things that IDOT mentioned in our meeting was that not every approach is the same. They do mention it kind of in the letter when they talk about they take speeds into consideration. They also take into consideration distance to the next intersection.
The configuration, the
Right.
type of pavement.
So you could be on 150, of course, we wouldn't see it until the design was done, but we could be traveling down 159th, and there might be one intersection that has 3 lights that go back, and another intersection that has 2 lights that go back. They take all those things into consideration when they're planning out the design and when they're, putting the final engineering together.
Okay, I'll just say one thing as far as my opinion goes, is that moving on, my 58th birthday in December, I enjoy lit roads. I mean, I understand we're a national dark skies awarded community, and I think that's a very nice compliment. But almost every single person I talk to wants these roads lit so they can see the intersections, so they can see the streets that they have to turn off of, so that they can meander through the village and be able to, you know, identify where they're going. Everybody has GPS on their phones, and everybody is high-tech and stuff, but these things, they only work so good for so long. And I'll tell you something, I'm going through it right now. Contacts, reading glasses, distance glasses. Every single person I talk to in the community wants 159th Street well-lit so they can see where they're coming and where they're going. And that's my only comments on this subject. I open it up for discussion.
Mr. Mayor, if I
Trustee
may.
Janice?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to, in August of 2012, Federal Highway Administration issued a handbook report. I'd like to throw out some facts that they have documented through many, many, many studies. One such study talks about the safety of not only pedestrians, but other cars, vehicles, bikes. And let me kind of read this to you. On lighting on previously unlit roads, they found 64% reduction of fatal car crashes. 64% reduction. 28% reduction in injury crashes. 17% reduction in property damage only after crashes. So understand the reductions. We're talking about our citizens here, our kids, our wives, our husbands, our moms, our dads on these roads, coming in and out of hopefully some stores that are going to be located there, some development. Also, I'd like to go on to state that they also found, with lighting these roadways, I mentioned about bicycles, but what they found is deep shadows or darkness reduces personal security and walking. Bicycling or commercial activities may become uncomfortable or unsafe. Very interesting. This is Federal Highway Administration Handbook, August 2012. A lot of studies in here, a lot of reports from your committees and congressmen that had subcommittees, including Lipinski. So I just want to throw that out there as fact, as we talk about a lot of different things, and let's get down to the nitty-gritty of it. Public safety, let's talk about our people, let's talk about our residents, our neighbors, our friends, our family.
Okay, anybody else like to weigh in on this?
I'd like
Trustee Sabo?
I'd like to weigh in on it. There's a lot of pictures here that show lighting, but driving down, I didn't go as far as Harlem, but driving down the street, there's a lot of stretches that don't have any lighting at all. And I don't know if you've put in here the intersections that only have signals.
Trustee Sabo, could I ask you a question while I'm thinking of it? Do you think there should be in areas no lighting?
Do I think what?
In certain areas, there should be no lighting at all?
I would like to explain what I saw on Route 30, okay? That's what I would like to explain. Because we have 3 towns, Frankfort, New Lenox, and Mokina, and only one of those towns chose to have lighted intersections. I find that very interesting, and that was Mokina. There were intersections, several of them, that did not have, that only had signals. Now, the signals aren't just on the corner, as you saw from the picture. Those signals come across the road in every road. So there's 4 of them that go across the road. These are very bright when they're lit. These towns don't seem to be worried about lighting them because they are well lit. When you have signals like that, it's just not one light at a corner like we have right now. So I don't see those pictures in here. I see that Route 45 and Route 30 had the appropriate amount of lights at the intersections. There were 4 of them. They had approach lighting, and then also Wolf Road is as you described it. But there were some intersections that were lit that on Route 30 that did not have approach lighting on the opposite street or on the cross street. So it wasn't consistent. And
Hold on there a second. Are you saying that the information that was provided by the state is incorrect?
I'm saying that what I saw was inconsistent with what some of the information that the state provided. It
So you're
wasn't
saying the
there.
information the state provided us with is incorrect?
Well, I didn't say it's incorrect, it's inconsistent.
Well, it can't be inconsistent.
No,
It's either correct or incorrect.
Well, I don't want to mince words and so
Well, what I
forth.
want to do is I want to get what you really mean so that I can contact the state and say what you told our trustees, according to trustee Sabo, is not correct. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'd have to go, if you're going to do that and you're going to write a letter and you're going to quote trustee
I've done
Sabo-
everything that this board has asked me to do. You tell me, are you saying that they are incorrect? If they're incorrect, I would love to write them a letter stating that trustee Sabo, one of my trustees of the Village Board of Homer Glen, says that the state is incorrect in the reporting to the Village of Homer Glen.
I said they were inconsistent in some places.
Incorrect or inconsistent?
No, Mayor, you and I differ on something here. I don't think that attacking a trustee on what they're
I'm not
saying-
attacking a trustee. I'm asking a
think-
trustee to explain herself correctly so I can contact the state as
I am
to either you're
okay.
correct or they're correct.
Okay, well, look, I heard what was said. I hear what Mike Salamowicz has reported. I saw something different. Now, does that mean that I am saying the state is incorrect? No, I'm saying what I saw was inconsistent, okay? And if it is inconsistent, they are telling us something that was different on Route 30. I think we should take a look at that.
Oh, okay, and you know what? I'm not badgering you. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth or whatever. If you feel that they're being inconsistent in administrating their lighting ordinance in different places, please give me the locations so that I can contact the state and I can say, I have a trustee that is concerned about lighting in this town, which we are a dark sky community, and it's a valid, question. And you give me those locations, and I will contact the state.
I don't mind you doing that, except that then I'd have to go back and verify exactly where it was. And we do.
Well, how do we talk about things like this in connotations of inconsistencies, and then talk about, I would have to go back and verify it? It sounds like you didn't verify it in the first place.
Mayor, one of the things I could just say is
what?
Michael took pictures of, Mike has pictures of every intersection. He has pictures of all the lighted intersections.
Okay,
So any trustee that wants to take a look at those, Michael has them on his computer in his office, and you can stop by and spend some time with them. But he has pictures of it. He spent quite a bit of time on it, so.
You know what, I have, and I would go back and verify because I want to make sure. But you know what? We do have some sketches.
We do have what?
Sketches. We didn't take photographs like this, and we certainly concentrated on the ones, we knew where the ones existed that had a lot of lights, because they were the major intersections in those towns, and they had a lot of shopping centers, like Wolf Road was one of them, and we didn't go as far as Harlem, but then LaGrange Road was another. And we saw that if IDOT is saying that we need approach lighting on all four legs, it didn't occur in some of those places. Now, there are certain streets.
Let me
streets-
just help you with how we resolve your issue. If you could identify those locations for me, I would be more than happy to contact the state and say, this is inconsistent with your rationale, and I have a trustee that has an issue with your inconsistency. I would love to do that for you, Margaret, but I need to know those locations.
Okay, would you please name them, Sharon?
Will, I think we should verify.
Sharon and I, Trustee Sweets and I, drove it this afternoon.
So I'm asking you, we need to get to resolution on the lighting on 159th Street. Let's stop with the inconsistent talk. Let's stop with the I think talk. Let's start with addresses. Give me the addresses. I will put them in a letter addressed from the mayor of Homer Glen to the state of Illinois, and we will get to the bottom of this.
Well, we
But to
can
talk about and sit here and waste our time about they're not consistent, I need facts. I need street names. I need intersections.
Okay.
And I'm not getting that from you.
Well, you are, because we
Well,
have them, because I don't
well,
have
give
them.
them to me then. If
Yeah,
you have them, give them to me.
You know what? Stop setting me up.
I'm not setting anybody up.
Stop setting me up. Trustee
hold on,
Sweets-
hold on.
Trustees,
This meeting's getting out of order. I'm not setting you up. I'm asking you for facts that you're not providing me with. Trustee Costa, you had something you wanted to add?
On street lighting, I believe that having them at the intersections, especially having the street lights at the lit intersections, I like the idea. Number one, it does give you that approach, and we're not certain what the speed limit's gonna be at on 159th Street, although I believe we'd like to see it come down considerably. I personally would like to see it 40 miles an hour, but I don't think we're ever gonna see that.
I think you're probably correct on that.
But I think the lighting on 159th Street at the corners, and we discussed this at previous meetings, I like that idea for safety. I also feel that as we develop 159th Street and as businesses start to develop in there, in between those lights, we will probably see enough light where people can navigate to get into various business roadways and things like that, driveways. So for me, at the intersections, I like that idea. I don't really want to see it look like a landing strip where lights all the way down from one end of town to the other end of town. Just the intersection would be fine by me. I'm a little bit concerned. I understand their logic and probably engineering by at 159th and Wolf Road, where you can't light just to one side. But if you look at that intersection, when they say a light has to be, I believe they said 750 feet back from that intersection, that's probably going to be about where Twin Lakes Drive is, or very close to it. So,
Right,
I
trustee.
think that's pretty well lit anyway there.
That's a very good point.
but-
We actually mentioned that to him. She said,
Yeah.
well, there's one exception. If it's 750 feet back, and I said, well, that basically takes that intersection out of play.
It does.
Yeah,
And
so, yeah.
I mean, I
There's
can
nothing
see
we can do about that one.
the safety
because-
behind it, if you're coming one way and you see lights and not the other way, but, we all know whose jurisdiction it is, but until someone puts it in writing, you have 5 different jurisdictions in one intersection. That's kind of crazy, or 6. But for me, at the lit intersections, the lighting is fine. I just would not like to see it all the way down 159th Street.
well, I don't like to see it down all the way.
Trustee Sabo, I'll address you in a second. I agree with you, Mike. We don't need any undue lighting. We need adequate lighting, and that's what this discussion is all about. IDOT has certain standards. I'm getting the impression from a couple trustees that the the consistency of their approach to enforcing the lighting is different from community to community via Trustee Sabo. What I need, and I'm not badgering Trustee Sabo, I need the addresses, I need the intersections so that I can appropriately and intelligently write a letter to the state and say, in these circumstances, these IDOT standards aren't followed, and can you please explain them to me? But at this point, I'm not getting the addresses.
Well, you
Go
will
ahead,
get the
Trustee
address.
Sabo.
Okay, you will get the addresses because we did our homework and we wanted to see, we knew that Route 30 was a lot different than what was being proposed here. And we wanted to see what the differences were. And we did. And so each intersection where we saw that there was only intersection lighting and no lights, we understood that. You don't have to have lights if, you don't have to have lights. You don't have to have approach lights. You can only have intersection lighting if you want to. Okay, so these are big arms that come across the road. Now, where there was lighting, and sometimes it was approach, we looked at the approach lighting, sometimes it was staggered, and sometimes it was not, it was not always there, and we can name those areas. There might have been one approach light on Route 30, not three, and then on the opposite road that came across, the cross street, there wasn't any transition or approach lighting, and we have that documentation. So we'd be very willing to share that.
And
Some of
I'm
those
very-
names, some of those
And I'm
names.
very happy to, defend you to the state as the chief executive officer of this community. If you can sit down with the director of services, Michael, and provide him and the village manager with these addresses, I'd be more than happy to intervene and talk with the state as to how these situations were accommodated, but they're not willing to accommodate us according to these locations that you're talking about. So, we're talking the same language here. If you have these situations, please give me the addresses, and I will contact the
Well,
state.
We'll be very glad to cooperate.
That's great.
First of all, we'll show Mike Salamovich what we have.
That's great.
In our drawings. But when it comes to IDOT saying, or Mike Salamovich interpreting for IDOT that there could be 20 lights at an
Let me make it
intersection,
very clear here.
which is
Mike
not-
Salamovich does not interpret for IDOT. IDOT has sent this letter. This was not from Mike Salamovich.
Okay.
He read it to you verbatim. Okay?
He has said that there could be as many as 20 lights at an intersection. Now that's stretched out. That's not at each corner. That's an awful lot of lighting when you are when you have cross streets that may not need that kind of lighting. And if 20 lights at Parker, 20 lights at
we could go on like this all
at
night
Bell
long.
Road
We
and so
could go
forth.
on like this all night long, which I don't want to do because we've got other business. What I'm going to suggest to you is a compromise here. I will contact the director and sit down with you and any trustee with the director for IDOT, if he's willing to take our meeting, and he will point blank answer your questions. So there are no more questions. Is that suffice to you?
Well, first of all, I'll cooperate in any way. First of all, I want to sit down with Mike Salamovich, and we will review the areas that we found that did not have approach lighting on the side streets or did not have.
Let's cut to the chase. Let's go right to IDOT and have IDOT come in for a meeting with me and you and any other trustee that has an issue with the lighting program on 159th Street, what exceptions there are, what legalities there are, what misinterpretations there are, and let's cut to the chase and get this done with. I mean, we sit meeting after meeting after meeting talking about this. Let's get IDOT in my office with you and any other trustee that would like to sit and talk about it, and let's get to the bottom line. Would you agree with that?
Well, I don't mind that at all, except, you know.
Perfect, then we'll do it.
Except, I agree that we should have lighting at intersections. I just don't think we should have to have an abundance of it.
And you
Their
get your
rules-
opportunity to tell IDOT that. I mean, I don't understand what we're sitting here going around in circles for. I will contact IDOT. I will try to set up an appointment very near in the future that you, I, and any trustee here would like to sit down and we will discuss the lighting plan and what will be allowable and what won't be allowable. What exceptions were made in other communities, what exceptions aren't made in other communities. What is just made up, what isn't made up. Let's get to the bottom of it.
Well, I'm
So
not
we don't
saying
need to,
anything
we don't
was-
need to continue for hours talking about this.
Well, well, you know, this is an important subject. And
Of
it-
course, that's why we
and-
need to talk with the people that are gonna do the
And although
lighting.
you may have talked to people, I don't know if you were doing a survey, you may have talked to people about lighting on 159th Street. There's a lot of people that don't want 159th Street to look like continuous lighting. They don't want to see that.
You know what? This discussion's over with trustee Sabo. I am gonna contact IDOT, as I said, and I am gonna set up a meeting that they will send their representatives down here. You and any trustee is welcome to sit in on. If there's more than 2 trustees, I'm gonna have to, post it, do a special meeting, and we'll do that. But I'm not gonna sit here all night and talk about things that I want this, no, we're gonna talk to the authorities that are building the road. Now, does anybody else have anything to say about this workshop? Trustee DeVivo.
I just want to make a comment. Regardless of what our lighting ordinance says, I still believe in safety first. I believe if we could please be reasonable and practical in our decision-making, because we as government, if we move too far to the left, if we move too far to the right, we tend to get ourselves in trouble. So just be reasonable and practical. And I think that this will all work out when it's done.
Thank you, and I think that's a very common sense approach to this whole thing. And is there any further comment in this workshop?
Mayor, one really quick thing, okay, for everyone's benefit. This picture in particular is important, and I thought I'd just draw everybody's attention to. Trustee DeVivo had actually asked me about a while back, and I never got it back to you. I'm recalling it. IDOT, and when we were talking with IDOT, this is a path, and it just happened, you know, it looks like it's on the north side here. And it's going to be similar to the path that the board has already approved for 159th Street. In our conversations with IDOT, they said in many instances, especially for the north side of the road where we have the path and there's limited right-of-way, the lights will actually be posted behind the path. And so this is a perfect photo, of course you have it in front of you, of how it would look. I think it was just important to mention that, okay? And IDOT had mentioned to us that the lights actually at the approach to intersections, in their mind, serve 2 purposes. One, obviously the roadway lighting, but they also help to light up the path as bicyclists and walkers are approaching intersections. So I just wanted to bring that attention because this is a great photo that kind of shows what a good example of what ours might look like.
Okay,
Thank you,
thank
Mayor.
you. And where we're going to leave this is I'm instructing the village manager to contact IDOT to get their official down here, schedule a meeting between myself, you, any trustee that wants to be part of it, and Director of Services, Mike Salamovich, so that we get the facts straight. There's addresses, there's the whole 9 yards, and we're done with this issue. There's no reason to discuss anything more besides the fact that we are going to talk to the authorities to find out what is fact and what is fiction. So with that being said, are there any further comments to this workshop before I close it?
There was one thing that was said last time, and that was to get our representatives involved. I believe that COSO was involved on Route 30, She may have helped these towns make
I will,
decisions.
I will definitely invite her to this
And
meeting.
Redonio.
I will definitely invite her to the meeting if
That would be-
if they can make it,
that
okay?
would be very
All right, that's great. So we have our marching orders here, Cam?
Yes,
Set-
one of the things that would be helpful in terms of that meeting, and we can take care of all that stuff, is just if the trustees could email me and let me know if they'd like to be a part of it. That would be
Okay,
helpful.
You know, I
fantastic.
think a meeting like this should have happened a long time ago.
It did, it did. It
no.
was called public hearing, which happened several times in this very boardroom. So we are now at the end of the 159th Street improvements, and you have questions, and I'm done with the guesswork of this intersection, I don't know the address. We're gonna get to the bottom of it, and I'm bringing the people in to get to the bottom of it, and you're gonna get all your questions answered, and any other trustee, and any state representative, or, you know, congressperson or anybody else that wants to be part of it, I'll invite them to it.
Well,
But
we-
we are gonna get to the bottom of it.
Well,
And
we-
that concludes tonight's workshop.
Well, we do know the names of the streets,
That-
and we did not
that's-
have
that's
a
fine.
meeting, we did not have a meeting where we actually
That's-
sat down. Those were open houses.
That's fine. This is the
Thank you.
conclusion of the workshop. Workshop's closed. Now, is there any old business? Okay, is there any new business? Okay, with that being said, I'd like to move to executive session for minutes, potential litigation, land acquisition, and employment, performance, and compensation. Is there a motion to so do?
So moved.
First by trustee Costa, second by trustee Kate Janis. Roll call.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo.
Aye.
Trustee Tejanis.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Trustee Swayze.
Motion carries. We will move to the mayor's office for executive session. I'll give you 5 minutes to talk with the news reporters and the public, and we'll get down to executive session. Thank you.